Have you ever noticed how one piece of jewelry can pull you in, while another leaves you completely cold? On the surface, it looks like taste, a random preference, a simple, I like this one better. But if you listen the way Carl Jung invited us to listen, you begin to understand something quieter and far more precise. Symbols are the language of the soul, and what you're about to choose is not just a ring. It's a path, an archetype, a reflection of what is moving inside you right now, beneath your words, beneath your logic, beneath the story you usually tell yourself. In front of you are 4 rings. One carries the power of clarity and stability. Another holds the fire of passion and depth. The third is tied to intuition, synchronicity, and fate. And the fourth carries the secret of transformation, dark, magnetic, and real. Your choice is not accidental. It will reveal what your subconscious is feeding on at this very moment, and what it is asking you to stop ignoring. So now, do this gently, almost like a small ritual. Look closely at the 4 rings. Notice which one catches your eye first, not which one is prettier, not which one seems more expensive, not which one you think you should choose. Just the first pull, the first spark, the first quiet yes. And whatever you do, don't think for too long, because the mind loves to edit the truth. Trust the first impulse, and when you have your ring, keep it in your awareness, like you're holding it in the center of your palm, because in the next part, we'll open its message. Ready? Which ring did you choose? If your eyes went first to the simple, majestic gold ring crowned with a bright diamond, it wasn't an accident. This ring is rarely chosen by someone who is chasing noise, attention, or quick pleasure. It is chosen by a soul that is tired of fog, because deep inside you, there is a hunger for something clean and real. Not perfect, real. The diamond set into gold is an ancient symbol, truth that can survive pressure, light that doesn't depend on anyone's approval, a clarity that holds steady even when life gets loud. And that tells me something about you. You may have been through seasons where the ground shifted under your feet, plans that collapsed, promises that were broken, relationships that changed shape so often you couldn't recognize what was solid anymore. When you live around uncertainty long enough, your nervous system learns a quiet exhaustion. Not dramatic, just tired. Tired of guessing. Tired of reading between the lines. Tired of wondering what is real and what is performance. Gold, in symbolic language, is the metal of the sun, of the enduring, the reliable, the timeless. And the diamond is formed under unimaginable pressure deep inside the earth. So when you chose this ring, your subconscious revealed something intimate. You have already lived through pressure. You have been tested. You have learned, maybe the hard way, that people can wear masks, but masks always crack eventually. And because of that, your soul is now craving stability and honesty the way the body craves water. This choice often points to a person with a strong internal code. You may not say it out loud, but you feel it. I can handle hardship, but I can't tolerate falsehood. That is why half-truths, manipulation, and games feel almost unbearable to you. It's not because you're too sensitive. It's because your system recognizes chaos disguised as charm. And yes, this ring also speaks to relationships. If you chose the diamond, it often means you're seeking transparency in love, friendship, family, work, everywhere. You want a bond built on respect, honesty, and clean communication. Because for you, without trust, Everything else is decoration. But listen carefully, because this ring carries a warning too. Your strength is clarity. Your gift is structure. Yet the shadow side of clarity is control. When you've been hurt by confusion, it's natural to begin gripping life tightly, demanding certainty, wanting everything clearly defined, trying to make the future behave like a clean diagram. But life rarely stays that neat. Sometimes the lesson arrives through imperfection. Sometimes growth happens in the messy middle, where you don't have full certainty yet, but you keep walking anyway. So this ring doesn't only say, seek truth. It also whispers, don't freeze life trying to make it safe. Because the diamond doesn't shine because it avoided pressure. It shines because it survived it. And that means you're not here to hide from life. You're here to model something that can endure. If you chose the golden ring with the diamond, your soul is saying, it's time to stop wandering in the fog. It's time to choose the people and paths that bring stability. It's time to step away from those who create doubt, chaos, and shifting ground. You may not realize it, but your presence can feel intense to others. Not because you are harsh, but because truth has weight. Some people fear your energy because they are used to hiding. But for those who are ready to live honestly, you become a beacon, a steady light, a reminder that something real still exists. And remember, a ring is a circle, wholeness, eternity, completion. By choosing this one, you declare something powerful. I don't want the temporary. I want what lasts. That can apply to love, to purpose, to the way you build your inner world. And the fact that you chose it suggests you have the strength to do exactly that. If you chose the ring with the ruby, it didn't pull you in by accident. It shines with something more than color. It carries heat. Not a loud, showy heat, but a deep, steady burn, like embers that have been alive for a long time. This is the ring of the soul that's tired of pretending. The ruby is an ancient symbol of passion, raw honesty, and revealed authenticity. Its red doesn't whisper, it tells the truth. I'm done hiding. And if your eyes went here first, your subconscious is pointing to something important. You may have spent a long time playing roles, being who you needed to be to survive, to keep the peace, to meet expectations, to avoid conflict, to stay acceptable. Maybe you became the reliable one, the calm one, the strong one, the one who doesn't ask for too much. And maybe that strategy worked, but it also cost you something. Because the ruby appears when the soul starts to say, I want my life back. This ring often belongs to the archetype of the survivor, someone who has walked through fire and still kept something tender inside. And that is not weakness. That is a rare kind of strength. The ruby doesn't just speak about romance, it speaks about aliveness, a hunger for real emotion, real connection, real expression, a life that isn't just functional, but meaningful. If you've been feeling tired of routines that make you feel invisible, if you've been sensing a quiet inner voice saying enough, then your choice makes perfect sense. Because the ruby is a turning point. It says, take off the mask, even if it's scary, even if it changes what people think of you. Even if it costs you the approval you once depended on. It means you are ready for connection, but not the polite kind, the honest kind. Deep bonds, open relationships, the kind of closeness where you don't have to translate yourself. And yes, this ring can also mean that something dormant is waking up in you. A creative urge, a desire to speak truth more clearly. a readiness to start something new, projects, relationships, decisions, where you show up as yourself instead of a watered-down version. But the ruby has a shadow, too. It warns, don't let the flame consume you. Because when you stop hiding, you become visible. And not everyone can handle your honesty. Some people will call you too much, simply because they are used to you being quiet. Rejection can sting. But the ruby teaches a hard truth. If you keep the mask, you may stay safe, but you will stay lonely. And if you remove it, yes, you risk being misunderstood, but you also gain something priceless, the chance to be loved for what is real. If this is your ring, your subconscious is saying, you're tired of surviving. Now you want to live. You're tired of swallowing your feelings. Now you're ready to speak them. You're tired of conforming. Now you want to belong, without betraying yourself. And that moment, right there, is a doorway. Because when you become your true self, you start attracting people who crave truth too. You become warmth in a cold room, a beacon for the ones who are tired of performance and shallow connection. So if you chose the ruby ring, remember, you're not choosing an ornament. You're choosing a symbol of inner fire, a fire that says your life will no longer be built around hiding. No matter how difficult the past has been, your subconscious has already decided it's time to live in truth. It's time to open to the world. It's time to be yourself. If you chose the silver ring with the moonstone, you didn't choose it loudly. You chose it the way the night chooses the ocean, quietly, instinctively, as if something inside you recognized it before your mind could explain why. The moonstone doesn't demand attention like a diamond. It doesn't blaze like a ruby. It draws you in another way, softly, steadily, like a faint glow in a dark room that somehow feels safer than brightness. This ring belongs to the archetype of mystery, the subconscious, and deep intuition. Moonstone is linked to cycles, water, dreams, and what is hidden from direct daylight. And if your eyes landed here first, your subconscious is revealing this. Right now, what matters most to you is not surface success. It's inner knowing, trusting your feelings, reading what isn't said, sensing what's real beneath the words. You might be the kind of person who notices tiny shifts, a pause, a change in tone, a look that lasts half a second too long. Other people call it overthinking, but it isn't. It's perception. Because you don't live only in extremes, you live in transitions. Moonstone shimmers, milky, silvery, bluish, never just one color, and that's you. You can hold complexity without needing everything to be black or white. People may sometimes see you as mysterious, even distant. But it's not coldness. It's that you dislike superficial noise, small talk that hides truth, busy activity that avoids feeling, a world that moves fast so it never has to listen to itself. This ring often appears in a person's life when the subconscious starts knocking louder. Maybe you've been having vivid dreams, strange dreams that linger in your body after you wake up. Maybe you've been noticing coincidences, the same idea showing up again and again, the same symbol repeating, the same message arriving through different doors. Jung called this synchronicity, meaningful coincidence, not logic, not proof, a whisper from the deeper layers of reality. And your task, if this is your ring, is to stop drowning out that whisper with cold rationalism. Because your soul is trying to guide you, not through spreadsheets and arguments, but through images, feelings, signs, and subtle inner reactions. Moonstone is also linked to receptive energy, gentleness, patience, inner wisdom. Even if you're a man, this symbol can show up strongly. It may mean you're craving a slower rhythm, listening to your body, being more in tune with nature's cycles. It can also appear when external achievements stop feeling satisfying, when status, money, and approval don't hit the same way anymore. And you start asking a deeper question: am I at peace with myself? But this path has a shadow side. Moonstone people can drift. They can fall so deeply into emotion, fantasy, and inner worlds that they delay action. They wait for a perfect sign. They wait for certainty. They wait so long that life passes the doorway. So the Moonstone comes with a warning. Trust your intuition, yes, but anchor it in action. Otherwise, intuition becomes escapism. And here's another truth. If you chose this ring, you likely have a gift that you're only partly using. Empathy. The ability to feel what others won't say. Artistic sensitivity, because art is also the language of the subconscious, or the quiet power to guide others without dominating them. You may not be loud, but you can be profoundly influential. Your strength is stillness. And now, there's something else the Moonstone points to: shadow integration. Jung said the shadow is the part of us we deny, yet it still shapes our life from underneath. For someone with moon energy, the shadow often looks like suppressed emotion. You might avoid anger, jealousy, or aggression, telling yourself you don't feel that. But you do. And when those feelings are denied, they come out sideways: fatigue, anxiety, withdrawal, quiet resentment, secret inner conflict. The Moonstone reminds you, true light appears where you acknowledge what you tried to hide. So if this is your ring, your soul is inviting you into an inner practice. Write down your dreams. Notice repeating symbols. Pay attention to strange coincidences. Trust the first feeling that rises when you meet a new person or step into a new situation. This isn't fantasy. It's the private language of your psyche. And if you listen, you'll discover something that feels almost shocking. There is a wisdom inside you deeper than any book, gentle as moonlight, but strong enough to guide you through your darkest nights. If you chose the dark ring with black onyx, you didn't choose comfort. You chose depth. This ring doesn't flirt with the light. It commands respect, almost a quiet awe, because it carries the energy of something ancient, the part of you that has learned how to survive storms. Unlike stones that glitter for attention, onyx absorbs. It holds darkness inside itself, and that's exactly why it becomes a symbol of power. For centuries, black onyx has been seen as a stone of protection, as if it takes in fear, negativity, and chaos, and compresses it into something structured. So if your eyes landed here first, your subconscious is revealing a truth. You have been through trials. Maybe you're still in one, and whether you talk about it or not, your system has learned discipline, control, self-reliance. This ring is often chosen by people who became strong too early, people who had to hold themselves together while others broke apart, people who learned how to keep moving even when they were carrying something heavy inside. But let's go deeper, because onyx isn't only about outer hardship. It points to an inner readiness that most people avoid. Jung called it the shadow, the suppressed parts of the personality: desire, anger, fear, grief, resentment, instincts. Most people try to deny it. They cover it with smiles, politeness, distraction. But you? If this is your ring, some part of you is ready to look. Not because you enjoy darkness, but because you're tired of being controlled by what you refuse to face. The onyx ring belongs to the archetype of the alchemist, the one who turns pain into wisdom, betrayal into discernment, loss into strength. This is the person who can take the worst chapter and turn it into fuel. And people like that often become a pillar for others. You may appear calm, detached, even cold at times. But it's not cruelty. It's the way you learn to stay steady when everything around you felt unstable. Your energy can feel like a fortress, strong walls, a solid foundation. And yes, there can be loneliness inside that fortress, because not everyone can handle closeness with someone who has looked into the dark and didn't flinch. But the onyx ring also carries a warning, because the shadow is powerful, and if you stare into darkness too long, it can start shaping your worldview. You can begin to see threats everywhere. You can stay on the defensive even when you're safe. You can push people away before they have the chance to disappoint you. The lesson of Onyx is balance. Harness the energy of the shadow without letting it consume your light. Because real strength isn't only the ability to stand your ground. It's also the ability to soften without collapsing, to trust without becoming naive, to be vulnerable without losing yourself. This choice often comes when someone is near a turning point, a decision that will require willpower and endurance, a moment where you cannot half-step anymore. The onyx ring says, "You have the resources for this." But it also whispers, "Don't turn your strength into a weapon against the entire world." Imagine black onyx like a starless sky, vast, endless, intimidating. But it's in that darkness that dawn is born. Your path is transformation through wholeness, not choosing only light, not identifying only with darkness, but making the full spectrum of yourself conscious. Jung once said that people do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. And if you chose onyx, you've already begun. Your gift is depth. You're not someone satisfied with surface. You're drawn to roots, essence, truth, even if it's uncomfortable. And your challenge now is learning to trust the world again. Not everyone is an enemy. Not everyone is here to tear down your walls. Sometimes the person beside you is simply ready to share warmth with you and remind you that strength can also be gentle. So if you chose the onyx ring, remember, this is not a symbol of coldness. This is a symbol of maturity, a readiness to face yourself fully and to turn that honesty into power for growth. Your path is not easy, but it leads to a kind of wisdom that lasts, a strength that outlives any storm. Each ring you saw was never just jewelry. It was a mirror. The gold ring with the diamond reflected clarity, truth, and a need for solid ground. The ruby ring spoke of passion, authenticity, and the courage to remove the mask. The moonstone ring revealed intuition, synchronicity, and the call to trust your inner voice. The black onyx ring pointed to shadow work, transformation, and disciplined inner power. There is no right or wrong choice, only the truth of where you are right now. And here's the deeper secret. Symbols can change as we change. Today, one ring calls you. Months from now, another might. Because the soul is alive. It learns. It heals. It sheds old skins. It renews itself. So your choice today is not a sentence. It's a snapshot. Your inner reality, here and now. If you want, share in the comments which ring you chose and whether the message felt accurate, because each response becomes another mirror, reflecting not only you, but everyone who is quietly searching too. And if this felt like a small awakening inside you, support the video with a like and a subscription. It takes 1 second, but it tells us these inner journeys are needed. As Jung reminded us, those who look outside dream. Those who look inside awaken. May your ring be one small step toward that awakening.